Hi guys, what up? Lucio here, and in this video we will review the power dynamics of the interview of Megyn Kelly to Vladimir Putin.
Yeah, that's true.
So you'll kind of grill us.
So you are going to grill us. That was a nice gesture of Vladimir Putin. He makes a joke, but it also gives a lot of power to Megyn Kelly. If Megyn Kelly had said no, or if she just laughed, then she would have refused the power. But she's a smart woman, and she takes it and runs with it.
That's right, I'm looking forward to that.
That's right, I'm looking forward to that. She accepts the power and she says, yes indeed, I will be grilling you. Very good.
Are you ready for me?
Are you ready for me? Now that's a little bit of a cheeky power move there. Watch out, because if Vladimir Putin says yes, then he's qualifying himself to her. If he says no, then he could come across as a little bit too rude and a little bit of a big rapport break. Let's see how he handles it. Perfect move from Putin. Notice that Megyn Kelly, when she asked the question, is very bubbly and excited. If Putin had replied more excitedly, then he would have followed her lead when it comes to emotional investment in the social relationship. But since he remained cool, calm and collected, then he retains all of his power. And about the conundrum of saying yes and qualifying himself or saying no and breaking rapport, he chooses the perfect third way. He passed the bucket on to Modi, but still he does it in a very socially smart way. If he had said, no I'm not, this guy is ready for you, he might have come across as a little bit demeaning. But instead he says, no, but this guy is ready for everything. Perfect. He passes on the bucket, he avoids qualifying, and at the same time, he kind of builds Modi up as well. Overall, to be honest, Modi is still the loser in that interaction. However, nobody comes across as a huge loser, and Putin comes out of it as the most socially powerful man in the room.
We'll not be able to communicate with you tomorrow. We will not be able to communicate with you tomorrow.
Before the forum?
До форума.
Вообще не сможем, на форуме не сможем.
No, we'll not be able to communicate during the forum.
What do you mean?
Как это?
Мы будем вами любоваться.
We will look at you, I will stare at you, you're gorgeous.
This was very interesting for me to see. Putin usually is not the guy who goes for the flirty style. He is the guy who goes for being the most powerful man in the room and also the most intimidating man in the room. This is more of a move that you can see from a guy like Berlusconi. Here is an example.
Silvio Berlusconi sul palco è arrivata Angela, ma a quel punto, prima di firmare il contratto per i servizi di energia della Green Power, il cavaliere, con la scusa di
Sì.
Scusi.
Si vuole girare ancora un'altra volta? Di là. Sì, è un'offerta comune.
In the past, I would have thought that this was cool and funny. Thank God I grew up. Today I think it's immature and this is an abuse of power. Once you have a leadership position, one of your goals and one of your objectives is to never abuse your power. And that includes not sexually harassing women. And if you really want to be the best leader that you can be, you should probably even avoid sleeping with the women that you are leading. But let's get back to the video. Why did Putin decide to play the flirty guy with Megyn Kelly? In my opinion, it could have been a move to devalue her power as a serious journalist. By making the joke, he paints her as the hot baby in the room rather than the professional journalist. As a side note, Megyn Kelly was not dressed appropriately to be a serious journalist. High heels, bleached hair, bra straps showing on open shoulders, and a dress with a mid-thigh cut. That's a little bit too revealing not to draw so much attention that it will eventually crowd out the attention that your journalistic skills should garner.
I have a way of making myself heard.
Я знаю, как сделать так, чтобы меня слушали.
The way Megyn replies is also interesting. She immediately pushes against the compliment. In my opinion, it would have been much better if she had accepted the compliment and say, oh, thank you so much. but don't try to sway me, I will still be tough on you. And that way she would have communicated, thank you, but don't play the game with me because I'm still a professional journalist and I will still be grilling you. That would have been much better, both from a social point of view, which would have been more warm and welcoming, and also from a social power point of view. Ow, Putin raises her here. Let's see what she says.
I'm a loudmouth. Yeah.
Я умею очень громко говорить.
Right.
Very good. That question was a trap question. If Megyn Kelly had started qualifying herself, something like, because I'm a professional journalist, because I'm here to get the truth, because I am very good at what I do, or blah, 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 she would have qualified herself to him and she would have lost a lot of power. Instead, she finally decided to go the joking way and she says, I'm a loudmouth. Now, the joke was probably not the best one because it still keeps her within the sexual realm. I'm a loudmouth, right? Everybody's thinking about her being a screamer in bed. Luckily, Putin decided not to pursue that, which would have been way too much. So now finally, let's see how she does with the grilling.
Is because the United States views this as a matter of its national sovereignty. It keeps coming up over and over, and what they say in response to the question of where is the proof is that this type of disinformation campaign is intentionally difficult to find hardcore proof of. And what the experts say is that this couldn't have been faked, that it's not one factor, that it's 100 factors that point to Russia.
In my opinion, there was a very poor strategy. It was a very poor attempt at grilling Putin. Putin was in his own country. It's in front of another head of state. It's in front of a lot of people. There was no way that Putin could have answered that in any other way than trying to embarrass her, which is exactly what he's going to do.
They say it's the forensics, it's the digital fingerprints, it's the IP addresses, the malware, the encryption keys, the specific pieces of code, that all of them point to Russia.
The problem here is that Megyn Kelly had no power to grill Putin. Robert Greene said it as his first law, never outshine the master. But that law is a little bit too specific in my opinion. What they should have said is, never try to overpower those who have more power than you have. And that's exactly what Megyn Kelly is trying to do here.
And none of them points to anyone other than Russia.
The first thing Putin does is to remove his earpiece. This is quite telling of somebody who is ready to rumble. One of the ways that you can recognize when people want to show off or about to start a fight is that they start removing pieces of clothing. It might seem a detail, it might seem overanalyzing, but in my opinion, it's quite significant.
Какие отпечатки пальцев? Отпечатки копыт, скажите, рогов, чьи эти отпечатки?
And then, of course, Putin is hiding behind the fact that you don't really have any proof, which of course makes sense, but most of all here he's leveraging his power. He could have said anything here, and Megyn Kelly could have not said a thing.
Значит, IP-адреса, их можно вообще придумать. Знаете, сколько много специалистов? Они сделают так, что это с вашего адреса, с домашнего. Дети ваши послали. Младший ваш ребенок 3-летнего возраста.
Oh man, a Russian oligarch will start mentioning your children, and then he said they could have pointed to your 3-year-old child to send it. Is subcommunicating that he knows a lot about her, and I am pretty sure that this landed very heavily on Megyn Kelly. Now again, you might think that I might be overanalyzing, but no guys. Putin went way overboard there by mentioning her children, and for sure Megyn Kelly started to feel the heat there.
They say it's too many things.
Это именно ваша девочка 3-летняя совершила эту атаку.
They said it's too many things, and she says it very high-pitched voice while he's still talking, is not going to stop. That intervention there only highlights again that she's powerless. It would have been much better for her to let him finish and then say her piece again.
Легче сказать, что мы не виноваты, это виноваты русские, они вмешались в наши выборы, а мы хорошие. Это вообще мне антисемитизм напоминает. Во всем евреи виноваты, понимаете? Сам придурок так ничего сделать не может, евреи виноваты. Но мы знаем, что к чему приводят такие...
Drawing a parallel between the Nazi and the US. It's very far-fetched, but the way it does, it kind of makes sense and it worked well. Notice particularly the people were laughing. When you can see people laughing a lot at somebody's joke, especially if those jokes are not very funny, that's a strong sign of social power. The people laughing in the audience, they are all highlighting that Putin is the powerful one and he can do anything and say anything, and Megyn Kelly only has to take it.
Президент Трамп говорил, что он считает, что Россия стоит за этим.
Megyn Kelly is on the ropes. There is no grilling whatsoever here. She very feebly tries to mention Trump saying something, but again, Putin unleashes all of his power against her.
Что говорит президент Трамп конкретно, тоже, дайте мне текстовку, что он сказал, что он победил благодаря, значит, российскому вмешательству, что ли? Я чего-то такого не видел.
Show me the text, show me the text. Of course, Megyn Kelly has no paper with her and she has no proof. Even if Trump said anything, now it's Megyn Kelly's word against Putin's word. And when it comes to word against word, guess who wins? It's the person who has most power who wins, not the person who is right.
He did. He finally came around to saying...
Он вышел и сказал, мне кажется, русские сделали...
Megyn Kelly fake smile here betrayed the attitude of somebody who is being beaten, has lost the plot, and has no power to do anything about it. And now Putin delivers the final punch. He trolls Megyn Kelly for making allegations with no proofs, such as gossip. And he mentions serious questions of world politics, as if to say that she's not up for that kind of job and for that kind of discussion. Vladimir Putin makes a mockery of Megyn Kelly. He makes fun of her and he totally devalues her authority. In the end, this turned out to be embarrassing for Megyn Kelly.
Грубая, абсолютно бесцеремонная, в том числе даже на уровне дипломатических ведомств, вмешательство прямо в нашу внутреннюю политику. Заканчивайте давайте. И вам легче станет, и нам.
Премьер Моди, Путин сказал, что не вмешивается в дела других стран. Вы верите в это?
У Дадона спросите, он знает.
Вы говорите об Америке, России, Трампе, Клинтон, о таких лицах. Мне не кажется, что нужен такой судья, как я.
Wonderful, wonderful. By building others up and by self-effacing himself, he actually shows of being a very humble and a very wise man. Very good.
Не тут-то было, с индусами непросто. Древняя философия. Это мы люди простые, прямо